All right. And we did get confirmation from the National Weather Service in Cleveland. This was an EF-0 tornado confirmed in Stark County, max wind speed of 80 miles per hour. It started in Navarre in Stark County and ended in eastern Perry Township in Stark County also. The path was about 4 miles wide. Not true. 4 miles long.
Why don't you, I have an idea. Go from there, I'll start a little wider, they can edit.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you punch up your camera. So we'll start from there. They can edit from there.
Okay.
Okay. And then so there's that, and then you can kind of go from there. You know, you can talk about the rotation or anything like that, and then get into your, and then punch you up.
Okay. So that right there, we've got a great indication with all these trees going in different directions. You've got damage not in one uniform direction, kind of ruling out anything straight line wind damage related. So this is definitely tornadic from the view in the sky. And we've got confirmation from the National Weather Service in Cleveland. This was an EF-0 tornado, winds of up to 80 miles per hour. The path was 4 miles long and about 25 to 50 yards wide. So not a major tornado, but you tell that to people underneath these trees. Any tornado, EF-0 or EF-5, they are still pretty, I can't say that, I can't compare it to an EF-5. Oh man, let's go back in on that, let's try that one more time. All right, 3, 2, and you know, just looking at the damage right there, you can tell it's going in different directions, so that really rules out anything straight line wind damage related. And we did get confirmation from the National Weather Service in Cleveland. They came down, they surveyed, and this is an EF-0 tornado, or was an EF-0 tornado. Winds of 80 miles per hour. It went for 4 miles. That's the path, and it was 25 to 50 yards wide. So that's proof right there. It does not take a massive tornado to create damage. Thankfully, the damage was brief. The rest of this weekend, we're all back to winter. Live, not live. Goodness gracious. All right. If I stare at this monitor for too much longer.
Well, look outside.
Thanks, Meredith. All right. 3, 2. And that right there, you can see that shed is demolished from trees, and it's not trees all in one direction. If you zoom out, get that wider view that we were talking about, you can see trees in all different directions. So that rules out straight line wind damage. It rules out microburst, downburst, all of that. This was absolutely tornadic, and we did get confirmation from the National Weather Service in Cleveland. This was an EF-0 tornado. It was on the ground, has a 4-mile path, 25 to 50 yards wide, and it had gusts of around 80 miles per hour. It doesn't have to be a massive tornado to create damage, and we saw that right here in Stark County. And Air Tracker 5, I'm Power 5 meteorologist Trent McGill above Stark County. Oh man, I'm gonna text Meredith. They want to do a Facebook Live, but I'm gonna need at least a minute because staring at this. And turn our mic off. Easy now. Whew. All right. Yeah. And this can be less polished. Get out of here.
Come on. Thank you. You're making me feel good.
Man, oh man, oh man. All right, we are live on Facebook here. So, all right, I'm going to just kind of intro this really quickly. Thanks for joining in with us. I'm meteorologist Trent McGillen. We're up in Air Tracker 5 above Stark County, Navarre. You've got Massillon way behind us. This is the damage we're talking about here. This is, again, one tree right there. Doesn't really tell us much. We came down here because we had several different reports from the ground reports of trees down and stuff like that. Essentially what we're talking about here is multiple areas, multiple kind of clusters of trees down, and they're all in a similar kind of path. So that leads us to believe it was tornadic. And then once you start looking at the individual trees, these right here, they look like they're pretty uniformly directional. Meaning that it could be just about anything. We can't rule anything out just yet. We can't rule out microbursts. We can't rule out, straight line winds. But then we start looking a little farther upstream and check some of this out. Some of these trees, some of these clusters, just to the top, if you can go back to just to the right there, I want to show you that cluster. That right there, look at the different direction you're seeing with the different direction you're seeing with these trees there. I mean, it's just, that rules out pretty much anything straight line wind related. You're going to get different gusts going in different directions. Now, they might not have been as strong, to the north or to the south, but it does definitely put some strain on that and throws those trees in different directions. That tree right there was snapped off right there about midway up. So this is near Navarre in Stark County. If you're wondering where we are in Air Tracker 5 in the sky, and then that shed is just destroyed. Thankfully, I haven't had up here any reports of any damage or anything like that. But with a tornado like this, we had a long, essentially a long lead time, and because it was so isolated, the path of this tornado was a confirmed EF-0 tornado. The path was 4 miles wide. 4 miles long, not wide, sorry about that. It was only 25 to 50 yards wide. So if you think about a football field, this was less than half of a football field wide. But it was on the ground the path was, 4 miles long. Still a pretty damaging storm. What's interesting to see here, sorry about my microphone there, everybody. I'm going to try to put this back closer. What's interesting to see here is that if you go back to your right a little bit there, Mike, I'm up here with Mike Harris, one of our photographers, our photographer guru, one of the best. What's really interesting is those are modular homes, mobile homes, and typically those are the first thing to go before trees get uprooted. You'll see those because they're not necessarily. We always say avoid those, get out of those if you can, and get to a sturdy structure. So. It's pretty interesting to see right there. Those are actually still standing. We're going to go a little farther upstream here and show you some upstream, up the little path here, and see if we can show you some more. There are a couple little isolated trees here and there, and if you go up this entire path that we're going to see here, it really shows that this literally was 4 miles long of a path. Yeah, look at that. There's branches down out of that tree right there. We can start moving the helicopter up back off towards the northeast also, and just kind of run this path all the way up, give everybody a good idea of what we have going on. It looks like this was a pretty quick in and out and powerful storm. I was talking to Jessie Schultz. She was on the ground earlier this morning at one of the trees that came down, and that's about 2 miles up from where we are here. She asked how long it was on the ground last night, or how long the storm was through. It was from initial gust to last downpour of rain about 20 minutes. So this was a very fast-moving system that just blew right through and knocked trees down in its path. Those clusters back there, that really gives us a really good indication that it was tornadic. And it's kind of crazy. As soon as we started flying up on it, that's when we got the alerts from the National Weather Service saying that they had confirmed, and they agree also that this is it was an EF-0 tornado. We had reports of power outages, power lines down, and stuff like that. So hopefully, if you are watching this and you have friends around the area, again, we didn't have any reports of any injuries or anything like that. But power outages are never fun, and with this colder air coming in, it being that it is so localized, I don't expect any power outages. If there still are any, I don't expect them to be long-lived by any means. We're kind of going upstream to show you a couple more little areas. There's a tree on top of a house next to the, was that the high school we were next to? Yeah, if we could just get towards that direction, and we can actually, that would essentially be the whole path, because I think that was just about the last little piece of damage, anything that we have reported. As always, during these storms and these events, we are everywhere. We're on Facebook. Of course, Mark Johnson was live last night on Facebook. We were on the air also. We were on our app. We were, I mean, you name it, we're everywhere. So, and it's for reasons like this. I know we get a lot of emails and tweets saying, why are you interrupting broadcasts and stuff like that? And this is why. This is absolutely why. We talked to a lady earlier this morning who said she got the alerts and immediately went into the basement. And she was fine. She was fine, thankfully. It's always a good day whenever you can get no injuries from a tornado on the ground, especially off-season, especially not during, peak tornado or severe weather season. That's when we can get really into essentially these things that kind of try to sneak up on you. So we try to hit these up a little bit harder. We try to give you a little more of a little more explanation. When we're all ready for it, we're all geared up for severe weather, and we take these in stride. But when it's not necessarily the norm, when we're still like in winter mode, still got winter gear on, it's kind of hard to get prepared for this. So thankfully there were no injuries with this. We'll take you back to our we're trying to find where that tree was. I think we're over the school now, or at least close to it now. Okay. Ooh, it is windy up here. If you know me, I'm not the best flyer in the world. Not the best flyer in the world, but we're getting through it. And it never is a good reason to fly. It's I guess it kind of goes back and forth. Every time we have to go fly, it's because we're reporting on something like this. Check that out. They've got the tree off the house now. About an hour ago, 30 minutes to an hour ago, that tree was still laying on that house. You could